Continuing on here with Chair Shot Reality on Wrestling Inc. I'm Justin LeBar. Give me a follow on Twitter. You can also check out Josh Eisenberg. He's at Josh Eisenberg 4. And Josh, a hot topic this week is Brock Lesnar making one of his rare appearances on Monday Night Raw. We see him on backstage vignettes all night long, reading Outdoor Magazine, breaking phones, asking why should I watch this show, orders a medium well steak, and then finally makes an appearance. On a show called Raw, of all things, medium well steak. What a heel comment. And finally makes an appearance in front of the live crowd. He gets his hands on Paul Heyman. There's some dissension there. You know, he didn't fire him. He didn't F5 him, but it certainly smells like the breakup is upon us. Do you agree with this?
Yes, and I agree with this because I think Paul Heyman needs to be on Raw more than any manager that we've seen in the past decade. I mean, look at how great he's been in WWE since CM Punk was there. And obviously, when Brock Lesnar came back for his second stint in WWE, he's been a mouthpiece that has gotten people over when they didn't even need to be there. And his real-life connection with guys like CM Punk and Brock Lesnar are great. So anytime that I can have Paul Heyman on WWE television more, I want to see that, and I want to see him do that. So I think the break is good, especially if we know that Brock Lesnar's leaving after SummerSlam, and we're not going to see him for a while because we need Heyman on TV. Regarding the next Paul Heyman guy, I don't necessarily know if you can have a Kevin Owens, if you can have a guy already in WWE, because you need somebody that Paul Heyman has a connection with outside that's realistic. I just don't know if the big names are guys that Paul Heyman should align himself with after he leaves Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, if you would have asked me 6 months ago, should they split up, I would say no, because of the real life factor. Because I know that Paul Heyman is legitimately linked to Brock Lesnar with the real business dealings. That's why it worked with CM Punk. It's why it did not work, I think, with Axel and Cesaro and Ryback. It felt too forced. But now that we know what we know, now that we know that Brock is going to go back to UFC, and it could be some time that until we see him again in WWE. If Paul Heyman suffers the title loss, if he's still aligned as the advocate of Brock Lesnar when Brock leaves and gets ran out of WWE, so to speak, then you really can't justify having Paul come back. He can't come back until Brock comes back with him. But by splitting the two of them prior, it gives time for Paul to move over to somebody else. To me, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, or Ronda Rousey, and not necessarily in that order, but those are the only three that I can realistically see Paul Heyman with in order to be able to try to buy, again, a real life factor. He has history with Roman Reigns and the Samoan family. I could see him taking a monster like Braun Strowman under his wing, just like he did Brock. And of course, there's an MMA connection with Ronda Rousey.
And I think the Ronda Rousey thing is good. I don't know if the fans will love the idea of having Roman Reigns with their favorite manager. I feel it might feel a little forced to the fans saying, "Oh, you're still trying to get us to cheer for Roman Reigns." Well, that's why you're bringing Paul Heyman on. But I'm not sure which NXT superstar could potentially benefit from being aligned with Paul Heyman, just because right now there's so many characters that are so good by themselves. But what about something like this, Justin? You think about how far the women's division has come, and you said Ronda Rousey. Well, what if Paul Heyman is in charge of the 4 horsewomen of UFC? You bring those women in. 3 of them don't necessarily have to wrestle much. Or you could have Shayna Baszler when she gets called up early next year. Have Ronda, and have Paul Heyman be the guy that's the vocal piece of the UFC 4 horsewomen, and then also you can have Stephanie and Triple H with their WWE 4 horsewomen.
Well, WWE doesn't do a lot of stables of that size anymore, but I think it would be fascinating to hear. And certainly, all 4 of the women could benefit from Paul Heyman's mic skills. And if the women's revolution and division continues to have more of their own properties, more of their own pay-per-views, if they go into a weekly show, Paul Heyman would certainly be an additional drawing, boost for people to tune in and see if that's the only place they can see him. If he's not going to be showing up as much on Raw or SmackDown, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think it is WWE just has to make sure that whoever is the next Paul Heyman guy or girl, that there is a believable factor to it, because Paul Heyman, unlike, and we don't even have a lot of managers anymore, but Paul Heyman, he's so. You can see
stars so bright all the time.
Yeah, he's so accessible. He has his website. He does the other media things. So it's and he's so outspoken. It's very clear who he is and who he is aligned with and who he endorses. So, and if you look at other managers around, even Lana, she's in real life married to Rusev. So it's like almost anymore for the managerial position. There needs to be a certain set of realism. Past the days are we, I guess, of just being able to stick a Bobby Heenan with anybody and make it work, or any of those
life connection behind the scenes that people know about.
Absolutely. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment on the video. Hit us up on social media. What do you think about Paul Heyman splitting from Brock Lesnar if he does so? And who should be the next Paul Heyman guy or girl? Coming up next, Josh and I wrap up the playlist. We're going to talk about some of the girls, some of the women, what's going on in Raw and SmackDown. Ronda Rousey, she's going to make her in-ring Raw debut this Monday against Alicia Fox. And also on Tuesday, we get closer to the women's match at SummerSlam. We now know it's going to be at least a triple threat as Charlotte's been added in the mix. Is this where it stops, or are we going to get a fourth competitor? We'll talk about all that coming up on Chair Shot Reality.